Welcome back to SwitchCorner. Today we're taking a look at Jump Force on the Nintendo Switch, a game that's just like proved demanding of any console. So how does this build stand up on the Switch, and is it worth your cash? That is what I'm here to find out today. Also in this video I'm going to be throwing in a frame rate review just to give you a true picture of what to expect. So with that luck, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and let's get started. So Jump Force, it does contain a relatively large single player mode. A first time player, you're looking in the region of like 12 hours when you factor in the countless cutscenes and dialogue moments. The story, it goes like this: the real world, it meets the Shonen Jump universe when humanity is invaded by Venoms, basically mind controlled bad guys led by Kane and Galena. Here you take on the role of a new hero. You'll create them in a relatively flexible creator at the opening of the game, and then you'll join Jump Force, not only to take down this enemy and restore, peace to the world, but rescue your friends from the universe who find themselves under the powerful mind control. The main heroes, shall we say, we got Son Goku, Luffy and Naruto. They each head up like their own division of Jump Force, and you'll be actually expected to join one as you open the game, though I will say it does very little to the actual story. So the story, honestly, it's okay at best, serving more as an excuse to take us through the history of the universe without really adding anything, else to it. It's fun, don't get me wrong, especially for fans. I got to see a few characters I know, like seeing Death Note and seeing Fist of the North Star. That was awesome, but don't really expect this to add anything to them. This is no doubt down to the huge roster of characters they've gone for, and while I do think they would have been better off focusing on something a little more contained if they wanted a solid story, the decision also makes sense, as this game was very much designed as a celebration of the 50th anniversary. Now look, while it will no doubt entertain the fans out there, you may be a little bit disappointed with the limited screen time many of these characters get, just because they're trying to squeeze everyone in. So first up, gameplay and roster wise, it's a bit of a monster. 52 playable characters from 16 different franchises. Think Naruto, Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter. I'm impressed with the selection, and they all come with their own unique movesets and stats that will influence your special abilities. Controls wise, they're all identical. It's basically a light attack, a heavy attack, and then a selection of special moves. Really, it is about as simplistic as they come. Now granted, you can manipulate them slightly. For example, press up and down for high and low attack variations. Likewise with the specials, you actually get 4 to choose from, but that really is about it. The fun in Jump Force, honestly, is in how over the top these attacks look and what such simple commands can deliver. Now then, to round out the controls, you can of course expect to block, you can grab and throw your enemies, and then you can dash, which puts you face to face with your opponent immediately. These attacks, these moves, they are also linked to meters, which is basically, you can look at it as a stamina meter. There is also a second meter though, the awakening meter, and clicking in the right stick when this is at 50%, you will awaken and basically go into overdrive. Many of the characters will actually transform the way they look. Now Jump Force, I've got to say, it has an unusual design in offering up its modes. Instead of a menu system, we basically get a hub world. This is your base of operation, so not only will you have missions for that single player story, but here you'll find access to things like single player and online play. If connected online though, you will find a ton of other players running around this world with you, which for me kind of got a little disorientating, honestly, and I actually found it was best to play offline when I wanted to focus solely on the story. So with that story, you're going to get 4 different mission types: free missions, extra missions, key missions, and then character-led missions. Accessing any of these missions will be done from what's called the mission counter. So the first one, free missions, these are not needed to complete the story mode, but I will say they will come in useful as they help you actually level up your character. This allows new moves to be attached to your character and then unlocked as well. In the latter game, this becomes, I've got to say, really important. Jump Force for sure at this point has a hint of RPG gameplay, not only from this idea of leveling up, but there is stores when you can actually buy different items. So think like health boosts, attack, defense, just do a quick prior to a fight that may make it just a little bit easier. Next then we get extra missions. It's got some story content, but obviously extra, not necessary. Finally though, key missions, and the name tells you it all. These are the story moments that you must beat to push things forward. Now often in Jump Force I will say you'll find that key missions menu empty. That's because you'll be expected to interact with characters you'll find around this hub world. You'll need to basically work alongside them and they'll play a key part in that mission. Typically if no key missions are showing though, this is the problem and you should look for someone in the hub world. Complete these and it will then push you forward to that next selection. No matter the type of mission though, the loop is the same. Intro cutscene, present the situation and opponent, fight it out with varying levels of difficulty, end cutscene to show a resolution. Very simple stuff. The majority of the fights here as well will be just single rounds and maybe not the 3 rounds you're typically used to. That said, you can at times find yourself using up to 3 different fighters at the same time, but they do all share a single health meter. The remaining modes then, we get single player where you can choose either AI opponents or like local play with friends. While you may be saving characters in story mode too, don't worry, all characters are unlocked and available for you immediately here. Then online mode, and it's just that, jump online and battle it out. So far I had a decent time online. It performs like the single player experience and lobbies are busy, though I will say I wouldn't hold your breath on it staying that way for too long. Being the Switch, the fight community is not typically huge and all signs here point to no crossplay. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into problems, then one thing I really appreciated you will find in the menu achievements, and that for sure helps with longevity. So problems, and I'm going to be upfront with it, this is not exactly held in the highest of regard. The simplistic combat may look the part and initially hook you thanks to some honestly truly stunning style at times, but it is extremely shallow and it gets dull very quickly. Then the story moments, the presentation is pretty lackluster honestly, consistently just throwing you that same loop of dialogue boxes to read, fight, and then maybe a full-on cutscene if you're lucky. This wouldn't be so bad, but everything seems to have a load screen attached. Like there's a dialogue moment, there's a load screen, fight, load screen, cutscene, load screen, hub world, go to the store, load screen, and you get the idea. Some are short, but some are pretty lengthy, especially as they are so frequent. Look, overall there's a nice chunk of content here, there's no question about that, but the problem is it kind of struggles with the fundamentals, at least for me, of what makes an arena fighter so fun. Locations may look exciting for example, but you'll quickly realise there's an invisible dome just kind of like not too far away from you, and while that flashy Ninetales attack, let's say, might look amazing the first time you do it, wait till you've sat through it 100 times and all you had to do was push a single button. All style, little substance best sums this one up. Now don't get me wrong, it was still fun making my way through the story mode, and yeah, going online, playing some like single player, seeing just these characters in general, I really did like get my ass kicked a few times, it challenged me a few times, but now I don't really see much reason to go back. Even with online, it's just not that satisfying a system that I care enough. With that though, look, let's look at the big thing today, frame rate and performance. Alright, so first off, look, if you're expecting 60 FPS, good luck with that. This thing can barely hit 30 on an Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, and this I think is probably Jump Force's biggest problem right now for the Switch. While a lot of the early fights you can reasonably expect on average 27-28 frames per second, it will start to buckle under the pressure, as you progress, and likewise with local online. That's because the second you pull out a special move and the screen starts going crazy, you're going to see a drop to like 23, 24, and then it kind of struggles to recover a little bit. You're going to feel those drops as well, and your input's almost like lagging slightly. This is especially true for the hub world. Offline it's fine, staying for the most part somewhere between like 25 and 30, but go online and it's going to be like 15 to 20 and it just feels absolutely horrible. Frequently here in the hub world I'd hit a command, see nothing happen, and like hit it again. That feeling of delay just never feels good, but especially in a game that relies on such like quick response to your inputs. We saw it with Naruto previously, honestly, we saw it with My Hero 1's Justice 2, but here it is, I will say, more noticeable. Handheld around the same, or at least it seems that way, and if you are curious, it is fine handheld, getting a comparable feeling, which perhaps is the biggest surprise. I will say though, when I was doing handheld for like an hour, you can feel the heat on the back of the Switch. So graphically then, Jump Force is stunning. While it has a noticeable like softness to the whole image that was obviously missing from other builds, I was mostly impressed. The locations like Times Square, Egypt, Japan, Mexico, they're created with some seriously impressive style. I particularly loved the Times Square level. They even throw in some minor destructible pieces strategically around the map. They don't really add to the gameplay, but it does kind of build on like this is a real location. The hub world, it's a little grey and bland honestly, but it does what it needs to, and as a glorified menu, I've seen a lot worse, and I don't think it's anything to hold against the game. Animations though are less impressive. I failed to see the personality of these characters. Cutscenes in fight, they all feel very similar to each other, and in cutscenes especially, they're particularly stiff as they mostly kind of like just stand still. On that note, actually cutscenes in general largely hit and miss. When the game goes all out, they look great in like all this flash, but many are just relegated to simple text boxes that you'll need to like kind of click your way through. The last thing then, character models. Not gonna be for everyone for sure. You gotta work out if you like the almost like lean towards realism they've made here. I actually like them personally, but for some it for sure doesn't work as well as others. Understandably though, they had to kind of find a middle ground to make them all work together, but I know that's not going to please like every fan out there. Overall, visually, I gotta say, like, it looks better than I would have imagined on the Switch, and I'm impressed with what they've achieved here getting it to output. So audio then, and it's a mixed bag. First, the sound effects in battle, those big like specials, they sound awesome and they carry the weight you would expect seeing them, you know, in action. Likewise, the music, it's not great, but it's inoffensive enough and it mostly works kind of to the moment-to-moment action. The miss here, the voice acting, the small bit we get is decent enough, but that's the problem, the small bit. After initial introductions, it's kind of removed and only used then for the occasional cutscene placed with, of course, good old dialogue boxes you need to read. This is a 50th anniversary, and I think having that personality, especially when the designs have obviously had to like have been manipulated slightly, it would have made it feel more like Jump. So overall, look, Jump Force has never been considered amazing. It's looked at as an average arena brawler, and I do have to agree. Personally, I'd suggest you start with any of the Naruto series or My Hero Academia 2. First off, for better combat systems and just a more stable frame rate, something a fighter quite honestly just needs. I will say though, neither of those games are perfect either, they're just slightly better. For fans though, look, if you have no other way to play, I can't deny they did at a core level achieve what they set out to, which was bring as many characters together as possible and allow you to spend some time with them. I had fun making my way through the story mode and the online was running fine, but the lack of depth will be the thing that's keeping me from personally like returning. Dragon Ball Fighters, something like that all the way, or even like a Blaze Blue, that's kind of my style of fighter. If I'm going arena, I'm going My Hero Academia 2. If you do want to visit these characters though, you shouldn't be too disappointed, and honestly I'm surprised to see it even on the Switch. Today I'm giving Jump Force a slightly above average 6 out of 10, but I will say if you're not a Jump fan, immediately knock this down to like a 5. What makes this a 6? It's fun to explore the huge roster and seeing some of these characters. I can't deny it kind of got the nostalgia going. I'm not the most knowledgeable in like the Jump series, but if you are, no doubt that's going to boost it even more for you. With that then, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.